Hello there, and welcome to Sleepy Science Vault. Settle in. Take a slow breath. And let your body begin to feel heavy. You don't need to do anything right now. Just listen. And let these words carry you gently. Somewhere quiet. Somewhere still. Deep inside you. Right now, your body is following a rhythm. A precise, ancient rhythm that has been running since the day you were born. It is called your circadian clock. And it knows, almost to the minute, when it is time for you to sleep. This clock doesn't guess. It tracks light. It tracks temperature. It tracks the tiny hormonal signals your body sends, hour by hour, through the day. And when the conditions are right, it gives the signal, quietly, gently. Now. And so, you begin to drift. As sleep starts to reach for you, your brain doesn't simply switch off. It begins a journey. A slow, beautiful, cycling journey through different stages of sleep, each one serving a different purpose, each one a different kind of rest. In the deepest stages, your body repairs itself. Your memories begin to settle, like sediment, sinking slowly to the bottom of still water. And as you pass through each stage, your brain waves begin to change. When you are awake, your brain is busy. It hums with fast, short waves. Little flickering signals. Millions of them. All at once. But as sleep approaches, those waves begin to slow. They grow longer. Deeper. Like ripples on a lake. Spreading outward. Getting further. And further apart. This is your mind. Unwinding. There is a moment. A brief, curious moment. Just between waking and sleep. Where something interesting happens. Your brain doesn't simply fade out. It actually produces little bursts of activity. Called sleep spindles. Small, spinning waves of electricity, moving across the surface of your mind. Scientists believe these spindles may help your brain gather up the day's experiences and begin, ever so gently, tucking them away. So even in these first soft moments of sleep, your mind is quietly working, organizing, settling, making room. Deep in the center of your brain sits a small structure called the thalamus. Think of it like a gatekeeper, a gentle, patient gatekeeper who stands between the outside world and the sleeping mind. When you are awake, the thalamus lets everything through. Every sound, every sensation, every flicker of light. But as you fall asleep, it begins to close the gate. Slowly, softly, filtering out the noise of the world, so that your mind can rest. And yet, It never closes the gate completely. Some part of your sleeping brain stays alert. The areas responsible for sensing, for listening, for awareness, they remain gently on watch, like a lighthouse keeper, sitting quietly in the dark, not alarmed, not busy, just present. This is why a sudden sound can pull you back to waking. Your brain never truly stopped listening. It was simply waiting, resting lightly on the edge of the world. And there is something wonderful here. Your brain, even while you sleep, keeps processing the sounds around you. Soft sounds wash over you. Unimportant. Let go. But a voice calling your name, or a sound that matters, and something in you will stir. Some quiet part of your mind has been there all along, holding a single, soft thread, connecting you to the world. Just in case. In some people, and even in most of us at times, one hemisphere of the brain stays just a little more alert than the other. The brain's two halves, its two great hemispheres, don't always sleep in perfect unison. One side may rest a little more deeply, while the other keeps one ear open, so to speak. This is more common in new places, unfamiliar rooms, new environments. Your brain, looking out for you, even in sleep. And as you rest, something else begins to shift. The blood flowing through your brain begins to move differently. It finds a rhythm. Slow, steady, regular. The urgent rushing flow of an active mind softens into something more like the tide, moving in and out. There is a deep peace in this, and in the quietest parts of your mind, the parts that think and plan and worry, those parts begin to dim. The energy your brain uses for its highest functions, its most complex work, begins to drop. The constant quiet effort of being you eases. Your mind doesn't disappear. It simply steps back from the edge of the world and lets go. And so you sink a little deeper. The clock is steady. The waves are long and slow. The gate is nearly closed. The blood moves like a tide. The mind grows quiet. This is sleep, reaching for you, and you, reaching back. Let it come. There is nothing to hold on to, nothing that needs you right now. Just this breath, and the one after it, and the gentle dark that is always waiting to hold you. Let yourself sink a little deeper now. You don't need to think about anything. Just let these words drift over you, like a warm current, moving slowly, carrying you further into rest. Your brain has been working all day. Every thought you had, Every decision you made, every moment you were simply present, all of it costs energy. And now, as sleep settles over you, something remarkable begins. Your brain starts to stabilize. All through the day, your neurons have been firing, using fuel, building up tiny byproducts, the quiet residue of a mind in motion. But now, in the dark, in the stillness, your brain begins to find its balance again. Energy is restored. Reserves are gently replenished. The urgent spending of the waking mind gives way to something more like tending, and something even more beautiful begins to happen. Across the whole of your sleeping brain, billions of neurons begin to synchronize. They fire together, rest together, in slow, sweeping waves, like a vast field of fireflies, all blinking in perfect time. This synchronization, this whole brain rhythm, is not random. Scientists believe it is part of how the brain repairs itself. The coordinated pulsing creates the conditions for restoration, for healing, for the quiet maintenance work that can only happen when the mind is still. And so your brain, right now, is doing something truly extraordinary. It is cleaning house. For a long time, scientists wondered how the brain, a structure so busy, so constantly active, ever managed to clear away the waste it produced. Other organs have obvious pathways, systems designed to carry away what is no longer needed. But the brain seemed different, sealed away, protected behind its careful barriers. And then, the answer was found. During sleep, the brain shrinks, just slightly, just enough. The spaces between brain cells open up, like windows thrown wide in a room that needed airing. And through those spaces, a fluid begins to flow. Cerebrospinal fluid. That clear, quiet river that bathes your brain and spine begins moving faster during sleep, pulsing through the newly opened channels, washing through, carrying away the proteins and waste products that accumulated through the day. One of the things it carries away is a protein called amyloid. The same protein that in too great quantities, over too many years, is associated with certain diseases of memory. And so every night, your sleeping brain is quietly protecting itself, washing clean, making space, renewing. Lie still and let it do its work. There is something else happening too. Something quieter still. Even as it rests, your brain is gently scanning itself, not with urgency, not with the sharp attention of waking thought, but with a slow, sweeping awareness. Certain networks become active during sleep. Networks that seem to be doing something like monitoring, surveying, taking stock of the brain's own states, as if the mind, in the absence of the outside world, turns inward and simply checks in. There's something deeply restful about this image. A consciousness that spends all day facing outward, finally getting the chance to turn around and tend to itself. And as this happens, something in the brain's deeper systems begins to recalibrate. Your brain has an energy budgeting system, a way of tracking what resources are available and what needs to be spent during the day. This system is constantly negotiating, always adjusting, always responding to the demands placed on it. But sleep gives it the chance to reset, to recalibrate, to set new baselines, so that tomorrow your brain's spending will be more accurate, more balanced, more wise. Rest is not laziness. Rest is calibration. And while all of this is happening, deep in your body, your pituitary gland, a small and remarkable structure, no bigger than a pea, nestled at the base of your brain, begins to release growth hormone. In children, this hormone drives the literal building of the body, the growing of bones, the lengthening of limbs. But in adults, it still does its quiet work. It repairs tissues. It rebuilds muscle. It tends to the countless small damages, the micro tears in the daily wear, that accumulate in every living body. And the peak of this release happens in the early hours of deep sleep. So when we say sleep is healing, we mean it. Literally. Your body is healing right now. Lie quietly and let it happen. Your immune system, too, is doing some of its most important work while you sleep. During the day, your immune system gathers information. It encounters new challenges, new signals, things it needs to remember, things it needs to learn to recognize. But the training, the deep consolidation of immune memory, the moment when the immune system truly learns, that happens during sleep. Certain immune cells that help your body remember what it has encountered before become more active in the sleeping hours. Sleep is not separate from your health. Sleep is your health, renewing itself night after night in the quiet dark. And something else is being balanced too. Something you may have felt when sleep has been cut short. The hormones that govern hunger and metabolism are tuned during sleep. A hormone called ghrelin, which tells you that you are hungry, is carefully regulated. as you rest. And leptin, the hormone that tells you you have had enough, is replenished. When sleep is shortened, these hormones tip out of balance, and the body begins to ask more urgently for fuel it doesn't truly need. But in deep, restful sleep, they find their equilibrium, and the whole metabolic system hums along quietly, in balance. There is a concept in neuroscience called the resting baseline. It refers to the brain's default state, the stable, settled condition it returns to when nothing urgent demands its attention. Think of it like the waterline of a still lake. During the day, the surface is disturbed. Wind and movement and activity, raising it, lowering it, never quite settling. But during sleep, the wind dies down, and the water slowly finds its level again. Sleep stabilizes this baseline. It smooths out the disruptions. It returns the brain to its natural resting state, so that the next day can begin from a place of quiet and balance. So much is happening right now in the soft dark of your body. Your brain is cleaning itself. Your tissues are being repaired. Your immune memory is being written. Your hunger signals are being balanced. Your energy systems are recalibrating. Your mind is finding its waterline again. All of this without any effort from you. You don't have to do anything. You just have to be here, still, breathing, letting go. Your body knows what to do. It has always known. Trust it now. Let the fluid move through you. Let the hormones do their quiet work. Let the synchronizing waves pass across your mind, like the tide, moving in and drawing slowly, slowly back. You are being taken care of right now, in this moment, as you lie still. There is nothing to fix, nothing to solve, nothing to carry, just the dark and the deep, unhurried work of a body healing itself. In the night, let yourself go a little deeper now. There is nothing calling you back, nothing waiting at the surface. Just this, the slow, easy drift further down into rest. Your brain has been busy today, full of experience. Every conversation, every moment of concentration, every small thing you noticed, without even meaning to, all of it was received, taken in, held, and now, in the quiet of the night, something extraordinary begins. Your brain starts to go back. Not urgently, not with effort, but gently, the way you might turn the pages of something you want to keep before we follow it there. Let's rest for a moment on something beautiful. During sleep, your brain becomes more resilient. All through the day, your neural networks are stretched, challenged, pushed in different directions, responding to everything the world asks of them. And over time, without rest, they can become brittle, less flexible, less able to adapt. But sleep restores their resilience. It strengthens the connections that matter. It allows the networks of your mind to recover their suppleness, their ability to bend without breaking. Think of it like a muscle that needs rest to grow stronger. Your brain, resting now, is becoming more capable, more connected, more itself. And as that happens, the memory work begins. For a long time, people thought that memories were made in the moment of experience, that something happened, and the brain simply recorded it, like a photograph being taken. But we know now that memories are not photographs. They are more like sculptures. They are made slowly, shaped and refined, over hours, and most importantly, over sleep. The process is called consolidation. During the waking hours, your brain forms fragile, temporary traces of experience, little electrical imprints, held lightly in the hippocampus, a curved, seahorse-shaped structure deep in the center of your brain. These traces are not yet permanent. They are more like notes, written in pencil, waiting to be traced over, in something more lasting. And sleep is when the tracing happens. Night by night, your brain takes those fragile traces and begins to make them real, begins to weave them into the deeper fabric of who you are and what you know. And as it does this, something else is quietly unfolding. Your brain is becoming more plastic. Plasticity is the brain's remarkable ability to change itself, to rewire, to grow new connections, to strengthen the pathways that matter, and let the others fade. Sleep is one of the most important times for this rewiring to happen. In sleep, certain connections are strengthened, the ones that carried important signals today, the ones that were used and meaningful, and others are allowed to quietly weaken, gently pruned away, like a gardener tending a growing thing, removing what is no longer needed, so the rest can flourish. Your brain is growing tonight, in the most literal sense, shaping itself around the experiences of your day. And in the deepest parts of this process, something almost dreamlike is happening. Even before dreaming begins, your brain is replaying your experiences, the neurons that fired today. As you move through your hours, begin to fire again, in the same sequences, the same patterns. Not all at once, Not in real time, but in quick, compressed, flickering bursts, as if the brain is running a fast, private review. Scientists have watched this happen in sleeping animals. They have seen the exact same neural patterns that fired as the animal explored a maze. Replay again and again during sleep, and they believe the same thing happens in you right now, somewhere in your sleeping mind. The shape of your day is playing back, softly, quickly, like a film run at great speed. The faces you saw, the rooms you moved through, the moments of effort and ease, flickering past, being held, and gently filed away. There is something deeply peaceful about this. You don't have to try to remember anything. Your brain is remembering for you right now, while you rest. And time, during this process, works differently. An experience that took minutes to live through can be replayed and consolidated in just a fraction of a second. Your brain compresses time during memory consolidation. It doesn't need to re-experience everything in full. It has found a more efficient way, a deeper shorthand that captures the essence, the pattern, the meaning, without needing every detail. So even a full and complex day can be processed in the hours of a single night. There is a quiet efficiency to this that feels almost like grace. And the replay is not orderly, not sequential, not polite. Your brain flickers, jumping between many different memories, many different experiences. A moment from this morning, then something from last week, then a face, then a feeling, then a fragment of something you barely noticed at the time. The brain moves between them, drawing invisible threads, finding connections, building a web of meaning that spans not just today, but everything you have ever known. This is why sleep sometimes seems to solve things. Why you go to bed with a problem and wake with an answer. The flickering, connecting, associating mind found a thread in the night that the waking mind, too busy, too focused, had not yet seen. And something else shapes what gets remembered. Not all moments are treated equally. The first things you experience today, and the last things, tend to receive a gentle boost. The brain pays particular attention to beginnings and endings. Psychologists call this the serial position effect. And it plays out even in sleep. The opening moments of an experience and the closing ones are revisited with a little more care, consolidated with a little more weight. So the first thing you noticed this morning, and the last thing you thought before closing your eyes, may settle a little more deeply into the fabric of memory tonight, which is perhaps one reason Why what you hold in your mind as you drift towards sleep matters. Let it be something gentle, something quiet, something kind. And as the night deepens, the memories begin a longer journey. The hippocampus, that temporary holding place, begins to send its carefully reviewed traces outward to the cortex. The cortex is the vast, wrinkled outer layer of your brain, the place where long-term memories are ultimately stored, woven into the structure of who you are. But this transfer doesn't happen all at once. Sleep paces it, night by night, over days, and sometimes weeks. Memories are gradually moved from their temporary home in the hippocampus to their permanent resting place in the cortex. Each night of sleep moves them a little further along, settles them a little more deeply into the landscape of your mind. It is a slow and patient process, and it asks nothing of you except that you rest. So rest. Let the memories move. And while they move, your brain is doing something even more remarkable. It is evaluating, without any new information coming in, without the noise and press of the waking world. Your brain quietly assesses what it has stored. It weighs the memories against each other, considers their importance, their relevance, their emotional weight. It is making judgments in the dark, without your conscious involvement. And based on those judgments, it decides what to keep and what to gently let fade. Because not everything needs to be remembered. In fact, forgetting is part of the process. Sleep helps your brain sort the useful from the useless, the signal from the noise, the details that matter, the patterns that will serve you, the knowledge that connects to what you already know. These are strengthened, and the rest, the clutter, the irrelevant fragments, the accidental impressions, these are allowed to soften, to fade, to dissolve back into the quiet. This is not loss. This is wisdom. A mind that remembered everything equally would be overwhelmed, drowned in detail, unable to see what mattered. Sleep gives your brain the gift of selection, the ability to say, this is worth keeping, and this can be released. So as you lie here, your brain is sorting, sifting, choosing, quietly, patiently, without effort. And with every passing moment, the day is being transformed, not just stored, but understood, not just recorded, but woven into the larger story of everything you have ever learned and experienced and known. Your memories are safe tonight. They are being tended to, carefully, with great intelligence, by a part of you that needs no instruction. You don't have to hold on to anything. Let the day go. Let the brain do what it was made to do. And feel yourself sinking a little further, a little softer, into the deep, still quiet of the night. The memories are moving. The connections are forming. The patterns are settling, like sediment in still water, finding the bottom, coming to rest. And so can you. There is nothing more to hold, nothing more to carry, just the dark, and the deep, and the slow, patient work of a mind taking care of itself. In the night, let the weight of your body settle now. Feel the surface beneath you, holding you completely. You don't have to hold yourself up, not even a little. Just release. And as you drift, let these words come to you, softly, like something heard from a great, comfortable distance. All through the day, your brain was receiving every experience, every sensation, every moment of attention. Sense signals crackling through your synapses. Those tiny, miraculous gaps between one neuron and the next, where one thought reaches across to touch another. And with every signal, those connections grew a little stronger, a little louder. By the end of a long day, the brain can feel almost overfull. Too many signals, too much noise. Connections strengthen indiscriminately. The important ones and the trivial ones, all turned up, all competing. But sleep knows what to do. During the night, your brain performs a quiet, essential act of editing. It scales back. The synaptic connections that grew loud through the day are gently turned down, not erased, just quieted, brought back toward a comfortable baseline. Scientists call this synaptic downscaling, and it is one of the most important things your sleeping brain does. Think of it like this. Imagine a room full of people, all talking at once, all voices raised to be heard, over the noise of all the others, louder and louder, until the room is overwhelming. Downscaling is the moment when someone gently asks everyone to lower their voice, and suddenly, the important conversations, the ones that matter, can be heard again, clearly, above the quiet hum of everything else. Your brain is doing this right now, turning down the noise, so the signal can be heard. And the timing of sleep matters here. The downscaling doesn't happen all at once. It follows the architecture of the night, moving through the sleep stages, each stage contributing its own particular kind of quiet. Early deep sleep does some of this work. Later cycles do more. Each wave of slow sleep Another pass of the gentle editor. Smoothing. Refining. Finding the right level. So the full night matters. Not just the first hours, but the last ones too. The ones that come in the soft gray hours. Before morning. When the brain is still quietly working. Still tuning. Still finding the perfect balance. And woven through all of this is the art of forgetting. We tend to think of forgetting as failure, as something going wrong. But sleep teaches us that forgetting, done correctly, is a kind of intelligence. Your brain, during sleep, doesn't just preserve. It selects. It looks at what was taken in today. And it asks a question we might not expect from something so ancient. Does this matter? The irrelevant details. The accidental impressions. The things you saw but didn't need. The background noise of a day fully lived. These are allowed to soften, to blur, to gently recede. Not because your brain failed to notice them, but because it noticed them, considered them, and wisely let them go. There is something deeply freeing about this. You don't have to carry everything. Your brain, in the night, is quietly setting things down on your behalf. And it is also protecting you from something subtle, but important. When we are awake and learning, there is a risk that the brain becomes too attached to the specific, too fixated on the details of one experience. Psychologists call this overfitting. Like a student who memorizes only the exact questions that appeared on last week's quiz and cannot apply the knowledge to anything new. Sleep gently corrects this tendency. It loosens the grip on the specific and strengthens the grasp of the general. It takes the particular things you learned today and begins to abstract from them, to find the pattern underneath, the principle, the rule, the deeper understanding. That will work, not just in this situation, but in many situations. Your brain is becoming more flexible tonight, more generative, more truly intelligent, not by adding more, but by finding the shape beneath the surface of what you already know. And this brings us to something beautiful. Sleep doesn't just process what you learned today. It prepares you for tomorrow. Researchers have found that a rested brain is a more receptive brain. The synaptic downscaling, the careful pruning, the quiet clearing of noise, all of it creates space. Space for new signals, new learning, new experience. A brain that hasn't slept is a brain whose connections are already too loud, too crowded, too full to easily receive what the new day is trying to offer. But a brain that has slept has been reset, made ready. Its connections tuned to a quiet, receptive hum. eager, in its own gentle way, for whatever comes next. So sleep is not just recovery. Sleep is preparation. And something else happens in the night. Something that feels almost like wisdom. As your brain works through what you learned today, it doesn't keep it separate, doesn't file it away in isolation. It reaches back into everything you already know and begins to look for connections. Old knowledge and new knowledge are gently introduced to each other in the sleeping mind. The new thing you learned today is quietly held up next to everything that came before it. And the brain asks, where does this fit? What does this remind me of? What does this change? And slowly, the new knowledge finds its place, nestled into the larger structure of a mind that has been learning for a lifetime. This is why things sometimes make more sense the morning after you learned them. Not because you studied harder, but because your sleeping brain did the work of integration, quietly, in the dark, connecting the new to the old, weaving them together into something whole. And then comes REM sleep, that strange, vivid, loosely dreaming state that visits you in the later hours of the night. REM sleep is when the brain becomes almost playful. The rules that govern waking thought, the strict logic, the careful sequencing, loosen. And in that loosening, something remarkable becomes possible. Pattern recognition leaps forward. In REM sleep, your brain draws connections that the waking mind would consider too distant, too unlikely, too strange to bother with. It holds up two things that seem unrelated and looks for what they share. And sometimes, it finds something, a hidden similarity, an unexpected connection, a pattern that runs beneath the surface of things that seemed entirely different. This is where insight lives. This is the source of those moments when you wake with a sudden clarity, a solution, a creative leap that wasn't there the night before. REM sleep is the brain at its most associative, its most inventive, its most surprisingly wise. And alongside this, sleep supports something even broader. Big picture thinking. The ability to step back from the detail and see the shape of the whole. The sleeping brain, freed from the demands of the immediate, freed from the need to respond and react and focus, can hold more, see further, think at a larger scale. The connections it makes in the night are often not about specific facts, but about meaning, why things matter, how they relate, what the larger story is. And in the very deepest stages of sleep, there is something that feels almost like rehearsal. Your brain takes the new things it has learned the new skills, the new ideas, and it quietly tests them. Not with effort, not with strain, but with a kind of internal simulation, a running of the new program, to see how it works, to find the edges, to smooth the rough places. Musicians who learn a new piece and sleep play it better the next day, not because they practiced more, but because their sleeping brain practiced for them. Athletes, surgeons, mathematicians, writers, all find that sleep does something that more waking effort sometimes cannot. It consolidates skill. It takes the new capability, still fragile, still effortful, and begins to make it fluent, natural, your own. So much is being given to you tonight. Your synapses are finding their quiet. Your memories are being refined. Your knowledge is being woven together. Your patterns are being found. Your skills are being practiced. Your mind is being prepared for the day that is still coming, still far away, still hours and hours away. But not yet. Right now there is only this: the dark, and the deep, and the unhurried intelligence of a mind doing what it was always meant to do. In the hours when the world grows still, let it work. Let it find the patterns. Let it make the connections. Let it quietly prepare you. You don't have to do anything. You have already done enough. Just breathe slowly and let the night do the rest. Let yourself be still now, completely still. Feel how heavy your hands are, your arms, your shoulders. Feel the weight of your own body sinking gently into whatever is holding you. There is nowhere to go, nothing to reach for. Just this warmth, this quiet, this soft unraveling. And as you rest, your brain is doing something that feels almost like magic. It is dreaming up new ways of seeing the world. Deep in the sleeping mind, the networks that support creativity are being reshaped. During the day, these networks are useful, but constrained, held in check by the demands of logic, by the need to be practical, to be sensible, to make sense to others. But in sleep, those constraints loosen. The creative networks of the brain begin to reach further, to connect more freely, to make the kinds of associations that waking thought, in its careful, responsible way, would often not permit. And with each night of sleep, these networks are not just used, they are rebuilt. The architecture of creativity itself is being renovated gently while you rest. Connections that were weak are strengthened. Pathways that had grown narrow are widened, so that when you wake, you will be just slightly more capable of original thought than you were yesterday. And alongside this reshaping, your brain is doing something even more quietly remarkable. It is rehearsing the future, not in a worried way, not with the anxious spinning of a wakeful mind running through tomorrow's problems, but in a calm, exploratory way. The sleeping brain generates scenarios, fragments of possibility, hypothetical paths, experiences that haven't happened yet, but could. It runs through them lightly, the way a hand might trace a map, not committing to any direction, just familiarizing, just preparing. Scientists have found that the same brain regions involved in remembering the past are also involved in imagining the future. Memory and imagination share a home in the brain, and sleep, it seems, gives the brain time to use that shared space to build not just a record of what was, but a gentle, provisional sketch of what might be. Your sleeping brain is mapping possibilities tonight, laying down the faintest outlines of paths you haven't taken yet, so that when you arrive at tomorrow, some part of you will already know the way. And then there is the threshold, that curious, fleeting, luminous place between waking and sleep. It has a name: hypnagogia. It is the moment when the mind is neither fully awake nor fully asleep. And in that liminal space, something extraordinary can happen. Insight, sudden, unbidden, complete. Scientists and artists and inventors have long known about this threshold. Some have deliberately lingered there. Salvador Dali, the great surrealist painter, is said to have napped in a chair, holding a key in his hand, so that as he drifted off, the key would fall. The sound would wake him, and he could capture whatever strange and luminous image had appeared in that borderland. Thomas Edison is said to have done something similar, with ball bearings and a metal plate. Both men understood what science has since confirmed, that the moment of sleep onset is a moment of unusual creative power. The brain releasing its grip on waking logic, but not yet submerged in full sleep, flashes with connections, images, solutions that the fully waking mind simply cannot reach. So if you have ever had an idea, just as you were falling asleep, and struggled to hold on to it, you were not imagining something. You were touching something real. Something your brain, at the threshold of sleep, was briefly able to see. And the sleeping brain doesn't just generate ideas. It can answer questions. Studies have found that when people are given a problem before sleep and asked to think about it, their sleeping brains continue to work on it quietly, without instruction. And in the morning, they are more likely to find the answer, not because they thought harder, but because their sleeping mind kept turning the problem over, gently, in the dark, examining it from angles that waking thought had not considered. Your brain is a patient problem solver. It does not always need you to be conscious to do its best work. And stranger still, the sleeping brain can learn not complex things, not language, not mathematics, but patterns, associations, simple conditioned responses. These can be absorbed even in sleep. The brain, it turns out, is never entirely closed to the world. Even in its deepest rest, a quiet part of it remains, receptive, processing, gently attending. And even the briefest flickers of sleep, those microsleeps, the tiny moments of unconsciousness that last only seconds, even these are not wasted. The brain uses even those slender windows to do a little of its sorting work, to shuffle a few cards in the deck, to move one small piece closer to where it needs to be. Every moment of sleep, no matter how small, is doing something. Nothing is wasted. Nothing is lost. And now, as the night deepens, we come to the most vivid place of all. REM sleep. Rapid eye movement sleep. Named for the strange, flickering movement of the eyes that accompanies it, darting beneath closed lids, as if watching something. And in a sense, they are. Because in REM sleep, the brain is almost awake. The electrical activity of the brain during REM looks remarkably similar to waking brain activity. The same regions lighting up, the same rapid, complex, associative processing. And yet, you are deeply asleep. The body has made sure of that. During REM sleep, a remarkable signal is sent down through the brainstem to the spinal cord and to the muscles of the body. Move, it says. Do not move. The voluntary muscles, the ones you use to walk, to reach, to run, are gently paralyzed. Not frightening, not harmful, just still. Your body is held quietly in place, so that whatever the dreaming mind experiences stays safely inside and does not spill out into the sleeping body. It is a profound act of protection. The brain, knowing it is about to generate vivid experiences, first makes the body safe, makes the world safe, creates the conditions in which the dreaming mind can roam freely, with no risk to the sleeping self. And then, it begins to dream. In REM, the brain moves through the whole landscape of experience. Memory fragments, emotional residue, creative leaps, strange and beautiful juxtapositions. Things that never happened. Things that feel more real than waking life. And woven through all of this is something deeply important. Emotional processing. The sleeping brain, in REM, is doing the quiet, necessary work of regulating emotion, the experiences of the day, the things that stirred you, the moments that left a mark, the feelings that were too large or too complex to be fully processed in the moment. These are revisited in REM sleep, but revisited differently. Scientists have found that during REM sleep, the levels of norepinephrine in the brain, a stress-related chemical, drop to almost zero. So the emotional memories are replayed, but without the neurochemical charge that made them difficult. The brain looks at them again in a calmer neurochemical environment and processes them without being overwhelmed by them. This is why we sometimes wake feeling differently about something than we did when we fell asleep. The dream has done its work. The emotion has been visited, understood, and gently set down. REM sleep is the brain's therapist, working the night shift, tending to the emotional residue of a life fully lived, making it bearable, making it meaningful, making it something that can be carried without weight. And so here you are, moving through all of this right now. As you lie still, your creativity is being reshaped. Your future is being sketched. Your problems are being turned over. Your emotions are being tended to. Your muscles are safely stilled. Your dreaming mind is roaming free, doing work that cannot be done any other way. This is not empty time. This is perhaps the fullest time of all. And all it asks of you is that you let go. Let the night do what it knows how to do. Let the dreaming mind wander where it needs to go. Let the emotions soften and settle. Let the body remain still and safe. And breathe slowly in and out. And somewhere in the deep, luminous dark, your brain is dreaming and healing and creating and preparing all at once, all without effort, all for you. Rest now. You are in good hands. Your own. Let your breathing slow now. Just a little more. There is no effort required. Let each breath be a little softer, a little longer than the one before. And feel, if you can, the very gentle weight of your own eyelids. That heaviness is not tiredness. It is your body telling you that you are exactly where you are supposed to be. Rest here. For a while, we have been traveling together through the sleeping brain, through memory and creativity, in the strange vivid country of REM. And now we come to something perhaps even closer, even more personal. We come to the heart, not the physical heart, though that too is resting, finding its slow, steady rhythm, but the emotional heart, the part of you that feels, and what sleep does for it in the night is one of the most tender things. I know. During sleep, your brain strengthens emotional learning, not just the memory of what happened, but the emotional meaning of it, the felt sense of experience, the knowledge that lives not in the mind, but in the body, in the chest, in the quiet nervous hum of a life being lived. Sleep deepens this. The emotional lessons of the day, the moments that taught you something about what matters, about what to move toward, and what to gently move away from. These are consolidated in sleep, woven more firmly into the fabric of who you are. And at the same time, something else is being carefully tuned. Think of your emotional life as having a volume dial. During a long or difficult day, that dial can creep upward. Small things begin to feel larger. Reactions come more quickly. The edges of experience feel sharper than they need to be. But sleep reaches for that dial and gently turns it back. The brain's emotional circuits, particularly the amygdala, that small, almond-shaped structure deep in the center of the brain that processes threat and feeling in response, is recalibrated during sleep. Its sensitivity is adjusted. Its threshold is reset. So that tomorrow, the world will feel a little more manageable, a little less overwhelming, a little more like something you can meet with openness. Sleep is not just rest for the body. It is rest for the feeling self and the circuits that govern mood, the deep networks that set the emotional tone of your waking hours. These too are tended to in sleep. They are not just rested. They are stabilized. The fluctuations of the day, the rises and falls, the moments of joy and frustration and worry, all of it leaves a kind of residue, a slight instability in the emotional baseline. Sleep smooths this. It uses the night hours to run the mood circuits gently, at low intensity, like an engine idling, finding its rhythm, settling into the right frequency, so that when morning comes, the emotional system begins, not from wherever the day left off, but from something closer to center. And there is something even more remarkable happening while you sleep. Your brain is learning to let go. Not all memories deserve equal weight. And the ones that were painful, the ones that carry a sting, the ones you would rather not carry forward. Sleep works quietly on these. It doesn't erase them. Memory is not so simple. And besides, even difficult memories carry information, carry learning, carry something worth keeping. But sleep helps the brain reduce the charge of difficult memories to keep what is useful. The lesson, the context, the understanding, while allowing the raw emotional sting to soften, to diminish, to become something that can be held without pain. This happens through a careful neurochemical process. During REM sleep, when the stress chemistry of the brain drops so low that even charged memories can be visited without being re-traumatized by. Your brain is an extraordinarily compassionate caretaker. It holds your difficult experiences, not to punish you with them, but to gently, night by night, draw the poison out. And fear, that most ancient of feelings, that most protective of responses. Sleep tends to this too. The brain has circuits specifically dedicated to learning fear, to recognizing what is dangerous, to remembering threats, so they can be avoided in the future. These circuits are refined during sleep, not made more sensitive, not turned up, but refined, made more accurate, more discerning, more precise. Because fear is only useful when it is accurate. A fear response that fires at everything is not protection. It is noise. And sleep helps the brain sort the genuine threats from the echoes and shadows that only look like threats. It updates what we might think of as the brain's internal threat map. During sleep, the brain reviews what it knows about danger and asks, is this still true? Is this threat still real? Does this still require vigilance? And where the answer is no, where the danger is past, where the context has changed, the threat map is quietly updated. The alarm is turned down. The flag is lowered. The nervous system is gently informed. You can stand down now. That is no longer something you need to watch for. And alongside this, the brain is doing something equally beautiful. It is learning where it is safe. Sleep helps the brain tag certain contexts, certain environments, certain feelings and associations as safe, as places where the nervous system can relax, where vigilance is not required, where the body can let go. This quiet process of learning safety is as important as any other thing the brain does. Because safety is not the absence of threat. Safety is something the brain actively learns, actively builds, actively remembers, And sleep is one of the most important classrooms for that learning. So here, in this moment, your brain is learning that here is safe, that this darkness is kind, this stillness is welcome, this quiet is not emptiness, but fullness. Let that settle in. You are safe. And now, let us move in the gentlest sense. Because while all of this emotional work is happening, your brain is also tending to something more physical. It is practicing movement during sleep, particularly during REM. The motor cortex, the part of your brain that plans and coordinates movement, becomes active, not in a way that moves the body. Remember, the muscles are safely stilled, held quiet by the brain's own gentle paralysis, but in a way that rehearses movement. The neural pathways that control physical skills are activated, run through, practiced, refined. A musician who learned a new passage today will find it more fluid tomorrow, because their sleeping brain ran through the fingering again and again. In the night, a child learning to walk, or ride a bicycle, or catch a ball, sleeps and wakes a little more capable. An athlete refining a technique, a surgeon developing a steady hand, a dancer learning a new sequence. All of them, whether they know it or not, are practicing in their sleep. The body learns while the body rests. It is one of the most quietly astonishing things about being alive. And alongside this motor practice, your brain is also sharpening something more intimate, your sense of your own body. There is a map inside your brain, a precise and continuously updated representation of where your body is in space, where each limb is, how each joint is angled, what the surface of your skin is touching. Neuroscientists call this the body schema, and it is one of the brain's most fundamental achievements. During sleep, this map is sharpened, the representations are refined, the accuracy is improved. The sense of inhabiting your body, the deep felt knowledge of where you are and what you are, is renewed. So when you wake and reach for a glass of water in the dark and find it without looking, that is your sleeping brain's work. The map was updated in the night. And deeper still, in the ancient navigational systems of the brain, something similar is happening. Your hippocampus, that remarkable structure that we have already visited tonight as the home of memory consolidation, is also your brain's internal GPS. It contains a system of cells, place cells, that fire in response to specific locations, specific positions in space, mapping the world around you into a navigational chart that lives inside your head. And during sleep, this chart is updated, consolidated, refined. The spatial memories of the day, the routes you took, the rooms you moved through, the geography of your lived experience are quietly integrated into the ongoing map of your known world, so that tomorrow you will move through space a little more fluently, a little more surely, with a little more of the world known and navigated inside you. All of this happening now, while you are still. Your emotional world is being tended. Your fears are being refined. Your safety is being learned. Your skills are being practiced. Your body map is being sharpened. Your internal compass is being updated. All of it. Without effort. Without intention. Without you having to do a single thing. This is the gift of sleep. Not just rest, but renewal. Not just the absence of waking, but the presence of something that waking cannot give. So let yourself receive it. Let your body be heavy and still and perfectly placed, exactly where it needs to be. Let your emotions soften and settle and find their quiet center. Let your brain practice and map and refine and prepare. And let the night do what the night has always done for every sleeping creature on this turning earth. Hold you, heal you, and make you ready for the morning that is still, so gently, so mercifully far away. Rest now. You are being taken care of in ways too quiet to notice and too important to overstate. Just rest. Soften now. Just a little more. Let the last traces of the day release from your shoulders, from your jaw, from the small muscles around your eyes. You don't need to hold any expression, not even a restful one. Just let the face go. Let the body go. And float here, in the warm, unhurried dark, while we travel a little further into the quietly extraordinary world of your sleeping mind. There is a kind of intelligence that we rarely stop to appreciate. Not the intelligence of ideas, or memory, or creativity, though all of those are remarkable, but the intelligence of time. Your brain, even as it sleeps, is refining its ability to understand time. Deep in the neural architecture of the mind, there are circuits dedicated to timing, to the sense of rhythm and sequence and duration, to knowing how long something took, how far apart two events were, whether something happened before or after something else. These circuits are refined during sleep. The brain runs them quietly, tuning them the way a musician tunes an instrument, Not by playing, but by listening, adjusting, finding the exact right pitch. And alongside the timing circuits, there are networks dedicated to something even more subtle: timestamps. Every memory your brain forms is tagged with information about when it happened, and where, and in what context. These tags are what allow you to know not just that something happened, but when it happened, to place a memory in the river of time, to know that this came before that, and this after, to understand the sequence of your own life as a story with a shape. During sleep, these timestamp networks are sharpened. The tags are reviewed, adjusted, made more accurate, so that the story of your life stays coherent, stays ordered, stays yours. And in the quietest corners of the sleeping brain, something even more practical is being refined. Attention. Your ability to focus, to select what matters from the flood of information the world constantly sends, to hold one thing steady in the mind, while letting everything else recede to the background. This ability, so easily depleted by a long day, so fragile when sleep is short, is being restored right now. The networks that govern attention are being recalibrated offline, away from the demands of the world, freed from the constant need to respond. They are finding their optimal settings again, their sharpest configurations, their most efficient pathways. Scientists have found that even a short sleep can restore attentional function that hours of waking effort cannot recover. This is why a tired mind cannot simply try harder and achieve what a rested mind achieves effortlessly. Attention is not a matter of will. It is a matter of sleep. And woven closely with attention is decision-making. That quiet, constant, endlessly demanding task of choosing. Every day, you make thousands of decisions, most of them so small and automatic you never notice them. But the cumulative weight of all that choosing is real. It builds through the hours, a kind of cognitive fatigue that makes the later decisions of the day less precise, less wise, less reflective of what you truly value than the early ones. But sleep restores the decision-making networks. The fine-tuning happens in the night. The neural pathways that weigh options, consider consequences, integrate values, and arrive at a course of action are quietly recalibrated, reset to their most sensitive settings, so that tomorrow's first decisions will be made with something like freshness, clarity, a mind that has not yet been worn down by the weight of choosing. And there is a particular kind of decision that sleep is especially important for: the decisions that live at the border between risk and caution. Your brain has circuits that push you forward, toward novelty, toward reward, toward the possibility of gain, and circuits that hold you back, that counsel patience, that weigh the cost of being wrong. In a well-rested brain, these two systems are balanced. They speak to each other, negotiate, arrive at something measured and wise. But in a sleep-deprived brain, this balance tips. The caution circuits grow quieter, and the reward circuits, unrestrained, grow louder. The tired mind takes bigger risks, not because it is brave, but because the part of it that knows better has been worn too thin to make itself heard. Sleep is not just rest. Sleep is the guardian of good judgment, the quiet voice inside you that says wait and think, and are you sure? That voice is louder when you have slept. So let it be restored tonight. Let the balance return. And now, let us turn to something that feels close to the heart of what it means to be human. Language. That extraordinary capacity that runs so deep in us, we barely notice it is there. The ability to take the formless, shifting, private world of inner experience and translate it into sound, into words, into something another person can receive and understand. Language is the bridge between minds, and your sleeping brain is practicing it right now, during sleep, particularly in the periods of slow-wave sleep. The language networks of the brain run their patterns offline. New words encountered during the day, new phrases, new structures, new ways of putting things are rehearsed, consolidated, woven into the existing fabric of everything you already know how to say. This is why children, who are learning language at an astonishing rate, sleep so long and so deeply. Every nap, every night, is a language lesson that requires no teacher, no effort, no conscious attention, just sleep, and the brain doing what it was built to do. And something even more remarkable happens alongside this practice. Your brain doesn't just memorize language, it generalizes it. It takes the specific words and phrases it has encountered and extracts from them the underlying rules, the grammar, the logic, the patterns of how language works, so that you can use words and combinations you have never heard before and still be understood, so that you can understand sentences you have never encountered because you know the structure, even if the specific content is new. This is one of the deepest mysteries of language. This ability to generalize, to apply rules never explicitly taught, and sleep is essential to it. The night is when the brain moves from memorizing to understanding, from knowing words to knowing language, from reciting to truly speaking. And we see this even in the youngest minds. Infants, those tireless, wide-eyed learners who are absorbing the patterns of the world at a rate that humbles every adult mind. In infants, sleep has been shown to dramatically boost pattern recognition. The tiny brain, overwhelmed with new information during waking hours, uses sleep to extract the patterns, to find the regularities, to build the frameworks that will allow it to make sense of everything that comes next. Every sleeping infant is becoming more capable with every passing minute of rest, and we never entirely lose this. Even in adult minds, sleep continues to do this work of finding the pattern beneath the surface, the rule beneath the example, the principle beneath the specific. We are always learning, and sleep is always quietly deepening that learning into something that will last. And then, perhaps most beautifully of all, we come to something that speaks to the deepest part of what we are. Social intelligence. The extraordinary, endlessly complex, profoundly human capacity to understand other people, to read a face and know what it means, to hear a voice and feel what lies beneath the words, to navigate the invisible web of relationships and obligations and unspoken understandings that holds human life together. Sleep supports all of this. The brain's social networks, the systems that process faces and emotions, that read intentions and motivations, that understand context and nuance, are tended to in sleep. And specifically, sleep supports the learning of social norms. Those shared, often unspoken, agreements about how we treat each other. What is acceptable? What is kind? What a particular gesture means in a particular context, with a particular person. These norms are not simple rules. They are complex, contextual, endlessly nuanced. And the sleeping brain, freed from the noise of social interaction, freed from the pressure of the moment, can sit quietly with what it observed during the day and extract the deeper patterns. What did that expression mean? What was really being said beneath those words? What does this group value? What does this relationship ask? Sleep helps the brain become more socially fluent, more perceptive, more attuned, more capable of the delicate, beautiful work of truly understanding another person. All of this is happening in you right now. Your timing is being refined. Your attention is being restored. Your judgment is being rebalanced. Your language is being deepened. Your understanding of other people is being quietly expanded. Every night of sleep makes you, in these small and unmeasurable ways, more yourself, more capable, more attuned, more whole. And all you have to do is exactly what you are doing right now. Nothing. Beautiful. Effortless. Nothing. Let the timing circuits hum. Let the language networks practice their quiet rhythms. Let the social patterns settle into new and subtle understanding. Let the decision-making networks find their balance. Let the attention systems rest and restore. Let the judgment return to its quiet center. And breathe. In and out. Slowly. You are becoming, right now, in this darkness, in this stillness, in this perfect, unhurried rest, a little more of who you are meant to be. Let the night finish its work. You are in good hands. As always. As ever. Rest. Breathe in. Slowly. And let it go. Feel how the breath moves through you. Without any effort on your part. The body just knowing. In and out. The oldest rhythm there is. You have been breathing like this since the very first moment of your life. And your body has never once forgotten how. Trust it now. Let it carry you deeper into the quiet. We have traveled a long way tonight. Through memory and creativity. Through emotion and movement. Through language and judgment. And now we arrive somewhere. Perhaps the most human place of all. We arrive at the way we are. With each other. The invisible threads that connect us. Person to person. Heart to heart. And what sleep does for those threads in the night is something quietly profound. Your brain right now is practicing how to be with other people, not in an anxious way, not rehearsing conversations or replaying regrets, but at a deeper level, a more fundamental level. The neural circuits that govern how you relate to others, how you read a room, how you respond to a face, how you know when someone needs kindness, or space, or a word, or silence. These circuits are being practiced in the sleeping brain, activated, run through their patterns, refined, the way a path through a forest becomes clearer and easier with every gentle passing. Social skill is not just personality. It is a set of neural capacities shaped by experience and deepened night by night by sleep. And alongside the practice, something even more tender is happening. The networks that support pro-social behavior, The deep circuitry of generosity and cooperation and care are being strengthened. Pro-social behavior, that beautiful word for the impulse to help, to share, to consider another's well-being alongside your own. These impulses are not random. They are supported by specific, identifiable neural systems, and sleep tends to these systems with particular care, as if the brain knows that the capacity for kindness is something worth protecting, worth maintaining, worth renewing. Every single night, a well-rested person is measurably more generous, more patient, more willing to extend themselves for another. This is not merely a mood effect. It reflects something real in the underlying neural architecture. Sleep is part of what makes us good to each other. Let that settle in for a moment. And then there is something even deeper. Moral judgment. The capacity to know not just what is useful, or convenient, or safe, but what is right. This capacity, so central to what it means to be a conscious, responsible, connected human being, is supported by sleep. The networks that allow you to reason about right and wrong, to weigh competing values, to consider consequences for others, to hold a situation in mind, and ask honestly, what should I do here? These networks are refined during sleep. Their connections are strengthened. Their sensitivity is calibrated. Their ability to arrive at nuanced, considered, truly moral judgments is deepened. And underneath the reasoning, there is something even older, even more immediate. Moral intuition. That instant, wordless knowing that something is wrong before you can say why, or that something is right before the mind has worked it out. That felt sense of ethics that lives not in the thinking mind, but somewhere deeper, somewhere more bodily, more immediate, more ancient. Sleep strengthens this too. The moral intuitions, those quick and quiet signals that orient you toward what is good, are consolidated during sleep, written more firmly into the responsive, instinctive, knowing self, so that when something asks you quickly, urgently, to make a choice, the first feeling you reach for will be a little clearer, a little truer, a little more reliably yours. And something even more subtle is happening in the night. Sleep gently reshapes biases and stereotypes. We all carry assumptions, inherited patterns of perception, shortcuts the mind has built from a lifetime of experience and culture and exposure. Some of these are helpful, Most are simply human. And some, we might wish to see more clearly, to hold more lightly. During sleep, these patterns are not erased. The brain does not wipe itself clean, but they are reviewed, recalibrated, gently updated in the light of new experience. The sleeping brain takes what it observed during the day, the actual people it encountered, the real complexity it witnessed, and it uses that information to quietly adjust the assumptions, to make the map a little more accurate, a little more generous, a little more truthful. We become, through sleep, slightly less certain of the things we think we know about people we haven't yet truly met. And that slight loosening, that tiny opening, is where understanding enters. And social memory, the particular and precious memory of the people in your life, the ones you love, the ones you have known, the ones whose faces you carry inside you, like small warm lights. Sleep protects these memories with particular care. The social memory networks, the systems that hold the faces and voices and histories and particular ways of the people who matter to you, are tended to during sleep, consolidated, kept vivid, kept close, so that the people you love remain known to you deeply, fully, in all the texture and warmth of who they truly are. And it is not just the faces, it is the voices, the way someone's voice changes when they are happy or worried, or trying not to let you see that they are frightened. The slight lifting of a tone that tells you something is wrong, even when the words say everything is fine. These subtle signals, so much of the real communication that passes between people, beneath the words, in the music of how things are said. Sleep encodes these. The meaning of tone of voice, the emotional information carried in sound, is stored and strengthened during sleep, so that your ear becomes more attuned, your perception more sensitive, your ability to truly hear another person, not just their words, but what they mean, is deepened night by night. And then there is trust, perhaps the most fragile and most essential of all the things we build between ourselves and others. The brain has systems dedicated to trust, to reading the signals that say, this person is safe, this person means well, this person will not harm you. And equally, systems that register the quiet wrongness of betrayal, the particular pain of a broken trust. Sleep stabilizes both of these. It helps the brain process experiences of trust and betrayal with accuracy and proportion, not to become naive, not to forget what was learned, but to hold the experiences correctly, with the right weight, neither too heavy nor too light, so that you remain open enough to trust again, where trust is warranted, and wise enough to recognize where it is not. That balance, that difficult, precious balance, is tended to in sleep, and something is stored in the night that is harder to name, but perhaps the most felt of all: the feeling of belonging, the sense of being part of something, of being known and held by a group, a family, a community, a circle of people who are yours and to whom you belong. This feeling, this deep and ancient need, has neural correlates, specific patterns of activation that the brain associates with safety and warmth and the quiet joy of not being alone. And sleep encodes these patterns. It consolidates the felt sense of belonging, strengthens the neural representation of being connected, of being part of, so that even when you wake alone, even in the quiet morning, before anyone else is near, you carry inside you the encoded warmth of all the belonging you have ever known. And finally, something that happens so quickly in waking life that we barely notice it. The first impression, that almost instantaneous assessment that happens the moment you meet someone new, before a word is spoken, before a single conscious thought is formed. The brain has already begun to evaluate. Is this person safe? Is this person kind? Is this someone I can trust? These assessments are not always accurate, but they are real. They are fast, and they are shaped by everything the brain has learned about people over a lifetime. And sleep refines this system. The first impression networks are updated, made more sensitive, more accurate, better calibrated to the actual complexity of the people they will meet. A rested brain meets a new face with more openness, more perceptiveness, more genuine curiosity. A tired brain meets a new face with weariness, with a heaviness that has nothing to do with the person standing there. Sleep is what allows you to meet the world and the people in it with fresh eyes, with a particular kind of openness that says, I don't yet know you, and I would like to. So much of what we value most in life lives in this territory: kindness, moral clarity, the warmth of belonging, the ability to truly hear another person, the wisdom to trust, and the grace to forgive. All of it tended to in the night. While we sleep, we are not just resting. We are becoming more capable of love, more capable of connection, more capable of the things that make a human life feel worth living. And so here you are, in the dark, still, breathing, being quietly remade into someone a little more patient, a little more perceptive, a little more open, a little more kind. Not by trying, but by resting. Let the social circuits practice their quiet patterns. Let the moral intuitions deepen. Let the voices of the people you love be stored safely in the warm, protected archive of a well-sleeping mind. Let the belonging settle in. Let the trust find its balance. And let yourself be held right now in the simplest, most ancient form of care there is: the dark and the quiet and the body knowing how to rest. You belong here, in this stillness, in this night, in this life. Rest. Let everything go now. Every last trace of effort, every held breath, every small tension you didn't even know you were carrying. Just dissolve into the dark. There is nothing required of you. Not even attention. If your mind drifts, that is perfectly fine. Let it drift. Let these words find you, wherever you are. We have come a long way tonight. Through the body, through memory, through emotion, through the way we are with each other. And now we arrive at perhaps the most intimate place of all. We arrive at the question of you, not what you do, or what you know, or how you relate to others, but who you are. That continuous, coherent feeling of being yourself that persists from one day to the next, from 1 year to the next, through all the changes and losses, and growings and becomings of a human life. That sense of being me. Sleep is one of the quiet guardians of that sense. Every night, as you sleep, your brain is doing the delicate work of hardening identity, not making it rigid, not fixing it in place, but giving it a stable core, a reliable center, a consistent shape that will be there when you wake, recognizably, reassuringly. You, the neural networks that support self-awareness, the systems that generate the ongoing story of who you are consolidated during sleep. The threads of identity that may have been stretched or frayed by the demands and disruptions of the day are quietly rewoven in the night, so that the self you wake into feels continuous with the self that went to sleep. This continuity, this thread of selfhood, is not guaranteed. It is maintained actively by the sleeping brain. night after night, with great care. And as it does this work, the brain is also sorting, a fundamental task, so basic we rarely consider it, but essential to every moment of conscious life: the sorting of self. From other, your thoughts. From the words someone else said, your feelings. From the emotions someone else expressed, your memories. From the experiences you were told about, your sense of who you are. From the ideas others have projected onto you. The brain must continuously maintain this boundary, this distinction, and sleep helps. During the night, the brain reviews the content of the day and quietly organizes it. This is mine. This came from outside. This is what I felt. This is what I witnessed. This sorting is not trivial. In a world where we are constantly immersed in other people's words and images and opinions and emotions, the brain's ability to maintain the boundary between self and world, between inner and outer, is one of the most important things it does. And sleep is when that boundary is restored, refreshed, made clear again, after a day of blurring, so that you wake, knowing the difference between what you think and what you were told to think, between what you feel and what you absorbed from the feeling room, between who you are and who the day tried to make you, and the self-reflection networks, those quiet inward-facing systems that allow you to observe yourself, to consider your own thoughts, to ask, is this really how I feel? Is this truly what I believe? These are stabilized during sleep. The capacity for genuine self-reflection, for honest inward attention, is not just a matter of personality, or philosophy, or practice. It is a neural capacity that requires sleep to function well. A well-rested mind can look at itself with a kind of calm clarity. It can hold a feeling and examine it without being swept away. It can observe a thought and ask, where did this come from? Is this true? Does this serve me? A tired mind cannot always do this. It is too close to its own contents, too merged with what it feels to see clearly. Sleep creates the distance, the perspective, the quiet clarity, from which genuine self-knowledge becomes possible. And there are boundaries of another kind that sleep refines: the brain's ability to detect where one thing ends and another begins, in perception, in thought, in the social landscape, in the story of the self. This boundary detection, this fine-grained sensitivity to edges and transitions, and the places where things change, is sharpened in sleep, so that you wake into a world that is a little more clearly defined, a little more legible, a little easier to navigate, because the mind that meets it has been refined. And then there is the voice. You know, the one, the quiet, constant, internal narrator that runs just beneath the surface of awareness, commenting, questioning, remembering, planning. That voice-like presence, that is perhaps the most intimate companion you will ever have. The one that has been with you every moment of your conscious life. Sleep refines this voice. The networks that generate and regulate the internal monologue are tended to in sleep. Their signal is clarified. Their noise is reduced, so that the inner voice you wake with is a little less frantic, a little less scattered, a little more like something you would actually choose to listen to, a little more like wisdom than worry and the internal distractions, those uninvited thoughts that pull the attention sideways, that interrupt concentration, that rise up at the wrong moment and carry the mind away. Sleep helps manage these. The brain's ability to filter, to notice a distracting thought and gently set it aside, to return to what matters. Without effort, without struggle. This ability is restored in sleep. The internal noise filters, the systems that regulate what reaches awareness and what stays below the threshold, are tuned in the night, like a skilled audio engineer, adjusting levels in a quiet room, bringing up what needs to be heard, and gently lowering everything else, so that the signal, your signal, comes through cleanly. And there is something about confidence that sleep quietly tends to, not the loud, performative confidence that is often just fear wearing a costume, but the deep, settled, internal confidence that comes from knowing yourself and trusting what you know. Your brain maintains something that we might call a confidence map, a running assessment of what you can do, what you know, where your strengths lie, and where you are still learning. This map needs to be accurate, not inflated, not diminished, but honest. And sleep updates this map. It reviews the experiences of the day, the moments of competence, and the moments of genuine difficulty. And it adjusts the map accordingly, so that the confidence you carry into tomorrow is grounded in something real, in what you have actually done, and who you have actually shown yourself to be. And something else that waking life can quietly distort is recalibrated in sleep. The tendency to overinterpret the social world, to read too much into a glance, to find hidden meaning in a tone of voice, to wonder what was really meant by something said or left unsaid. to build elaborate stories out of the slimmest of evidence. We all do this, especially when we are tired, especially when the nervous system is already stretched. But sleep reduces this noise. It quiets the overinterpreting mind, the one that turns a simple comment into a complex message, that turns a neutral expression into a verdict. A rested brain reads the social world more accurately, more charitably, more calmly. It sees people more as they are, and less as the anxious mind needs them to be. What a gift this is, to move through the world, seeing people clearly, without the distortion of an exhausted and overinterpreting mind. Sleep makes this possible. And now, from the heights of philosophy, from the deep interior of the self, we come to something more practical, but no less profound. We come to the question of change. The habits we carry, the patterns we repeat, the behaviors we return to again and again, even when we know we would rather not. Because sleep does something remarkable here too. It helps the brain unlink bad habits. Habits live in the brain as well-worn paths, neural circuits that have been traveled so many times that they have become automatic, effortless, the default response to certain cues and contexts. Breaking a habit is not simply a matter of willpower. It is a matter of neural rewiring, of building new paths, and allowing the old ones to begin to fade. And sleep supports this process. During the night, the brain reviews the behavioral patterns of the day and applies its quiet editorial intelligence. New choices made during the day, moments when the habit was resisted, when a different path was taken. These are noticed and gently strengthened. The new path is reinforced, made a little clearer, a little more accessible, a little more likely to be chosen again. And the old path, the one you are trying to leave, is given just a little less weight, allowed to be just a little less automatic, a little less inevitable. This doesn't happen in one night. Change is slow and patient and asks for consistency. But every night of sleep, after a day of trying, moves the dial just slightly in the direction you are reaching for. So if you are trying to change something, if there is a habit you are working to release, a pattern you are trying to step out of, a new way of being, you are slowly building. Sleep is your ally. Every night, it is quietly doing the neural work that your waking effort points toward. You are not alone in this. Your sleeping brain is working with you. And so we rest here for a moment in the fullness of what has been said. Your identity is being held. and hardened into something stable and trustworthy. Your inner voice is being clarified. Your confidence is being honestly mapped. Your social perception is being quieted into something more accurate and kind. And the habits you are trying to release are being gently, softly loosened. All of this in the dark, without effort, while you breathe slowly, and the world holds still. You are more than you know. Your sleeping brain is always working to remind you of that, to return you to yourself, night after night, whole and rested and ready. Rest now. Let the self be held. Let the night do its deep, patient, loving work. You are safe here, in this darkness, in this stillness, in this life, and you are becoming more fully yourself with every passing breath. Rest. We are nearly at the end of our journey now. Not the end of sleep. Sleep still has hours ahead of it. Still has quiet work to do. But the end of our traveling together through the remarkable, unhurried, endlessly generous world of the sleeping brain. So let yourself settle even more deeply than before. Let the breath slow just a little more. Let the body sink just a little further into the surface beneath you, which has been holding you patiently this whole time. And let these final words come to you like the last soft light before full dark. We were talking about change, about habits, about the slow, patient work of becoming who you want to be. And sleep has one more gift for this. We spoke of how sleep helps the brain unlink bad habits, strengthen new ones, build the neural pathways toward the person you are reaching to become. But there is something more specific, more quietly powerful, that happens in the night. Sleep helps the brain forget temptation, not forget that something exists, not erase the knowledge of what once pulled at you, but soften the pull, reduce the charge, the urgent, insistent, magnetic quality that certain temptations carry. When the mind is tired, and the willpower reserves are low, and the thing you are trying not to do suddenly seems very close and very reasonable. Sleep reduces this. The neurochemical environment of the rested brain is simply less susceptible to the particular kind of craving that exhaustion amplifies. What felt irresistible at 10 o'clock at night feels manageable at 8 o'clock in the morning. Not because the world changed, but because the brain did. It rested. And in resting, It recovered its own agency, its own clear sense of what it actually wants, as opposed to what it is desperate for. In the moment, there is a difference between want and craving, and sleep helps you know which is which. And then there is something beautiful about how sleep shapes us, not just as individuals, but as members of a culture, a community, a shared human world. During sleep, the brain embeds the habits and patterns that are specific to the culture we live in, the particular ways of moving through the world that our community considers natural, or polite, or right. The gestures, the rhythms of interaction, the unspoken agreements about how time works, and how space is shared, and how certain things are done. These are not just learned while awake. They are consolidated in sleep, woven into the automatic, habitual, felt in the body layer of who we are, so that we move through our shared world, not just knowing the rules, but having absorbed them at a level below thinking, at the level of simply, this is how things are done. Sleep makes us, in the deepest sense, members of each other, part of a shared way of being in the world. And one more thing, before we turn toward morning, your sleeping brain is rehearsing conversations, not the anxious running over of difficult exchanges that waking insomnia sometimes brings, but something quieter, more generative, more forward-looking. The sleeping mind gently plays out future interactions, a conversation you will need to have, a difficult thing that will need to be said, a moment of connection you are moving toward. It tries different approaches, different tones, different ways of beginning, not with effort, not with strain, but with the same loose, associative, playful intelligence that the sleeping brain brings to everything it touches, so that when the moment comes and you find yourself standing in front of someone with something important to say, some part of you has already been there, already found the first word, already knows, roughly, which way to walk. Your sleeping brain is always preparing you for the life still to come. And now, we turn, very gently, toward morning, not the morning itself, which is still hours away, still soft and unreachable, but toward the way the brain begins, in its own time, to prepare for waking, because the journey back to consciousness is not abrupt. It is gradual. It begins long before you open your eyes, long before any alarm sounds, long before the world makes any claim on you. Through the night, the connectivity of your brain has been changing. The patterns of communication between different brain regions have been shifting, reorganizing, finding new configurations. Some connections that were strong at the beginning of the night have been refined. Others have been gently loosened. New bridges have been built between regions that needed to share what they learned, to pass information across the sleeping landscape of the mind. And by the time the night begins to thin, the brain's connectivity has been transformed. Not dramatically, not all at once, but meaningfully, in ways that will shape every thought and feeling and perception of the coming day. You will wake into a different brain than the one that fell asleep. In the two hemispheres, those great twin continents of the thinking mind have been quietly coming into better relationship. Through the night, the connections between the left brain and the right brain, the pathways that allow the two halves to work together, to share their different kinds of intelligence, to produce the integrated, whole, coherent experience of being a single self in the world. These have been tuned during sleep. The left and right hemispheres emerge from the night a little better calibrated to each other, a little more fluent in their communication, a little more unified in the brain's ability to hold multiple senses together, to combine what you see and what you hear and what you feel into a single coherent experience of the world. This too has been stabilized. In sleep, the multisensory scenes, the integrated experience of being a body in a world of sound and light and texture, has been quietly reinforced, so that when you wake and open your eyes and the world floods back in, your brain will be ready to receive it, to hold it all together, seamlessly, effortlessly, as if it never required any effort at all, which of course it does. In the resting baseline, that quiet, stable foundation of the brain's default activity, the waterline we spoke of so many hours ago, at the beginning of our journey, it has been stabilized. Through the night, the fluctuations and disruptions of the day have been smoothed. The baseline has been reset. The brain is returning to its most natural, most settled, most sustainable state. The state from which everything good becomes most possible. And now, in the hours before waking, something begins to stir. Very slowly, very gently, the brain begins to warm up. Body temperature starts to rise, just slightly. Cortisol, the hormone of gentle arousal, of readiness, of the body's quiet preparation, begins its slow morning climb. Not the sharp cortisol of stress, not the sudden cortisol of alarm, But the gradual, natural, dawn cortisol, that has been waking living creatures gently for as long as there have been mornings, the brain's activity begins to shift, to lighten, to move upward through the sleep stages, toward the thin, luminous edge of waking. This warming up is not random. It is timed by the same circadian clock that sent you to sleep, now gently calling you back. The clock that knows, almost to the minute, when it is time. And as the brain warms and the body follows, something is being carefully prepared. Your emotional state for the morning. We spoke of this at the beginning of our night together. The way REM sleep processes the emotional residue of the day. And in these final hours of sleep, when REM sleep is longest and deepest and most vivid, that emotional processing reaches its conclusion. The brain arrives at a kind of equilibrium. The charges are neutralized. The weights are lifted. The difficult feelings of yesterday have been visited and understood and set down. And what remains is something closer to balance, a readiness to meet the new day without the accumulated weight of the old one. This is why mornings can feel like beginnings, not just metaphorically, but neurologically, genuinely. The brain has done the work of clearing what needed to be cleared and preparing what needed to be prepared, so that the self that wakes can meet the world with something like openness. And so we arrive at the end. 100 facts about the sleeping brain. And yet, we have barely touched the surface of what sleep truly is. Because sleep is not just a collection of mechanisms, not just a list of processes, not just a set of facts. Sleep is the foundation, the deep, invisible, essential foundation beneath everything you are, and everything you do, and everything you are capable of becoming. Think of what has happened tonight. While you lay still, your brain has cleaned itself, repaired itself, balanced its energy, consolidated your memories, refined your emotions, practiced your skills, rehearsed your language, updated your maps of the world and of yourself, strengthened your capacity for kindness, deepened your moral intuition, softened the edges of what was difficult, reinforced the warmth of what was good, prepared you for the conversations still to come, and quietly, patiently, lovingly rebuilt you, not into someone different, into someone more yourself, more capable, more connected, more whole. This is what sleep gives. Every single night, without asking anything in return, without requiring that you understand it, or appreciate it, or even be aware of it. It simply does its work, as it is doing right now. You came to this night carrying a day, all its weight and texture and feeling, all its small victories and quiet difficulties, all its moments of beauty, and the ordinary grace of just being alive. And through the night, your brain has been holding all of it, tenderly, sorting what to keep and what to release, strengthening what matters, and allowing the rest to soften into something bearable, something even beautiful, in its own quiet way. Tomorrow you will wake, and the world will be there, as it always is, full of everything it is full of. But you will meet it differently than you met today. Your brain will be changed. Your connections will be new. Your baseline will be stable. Your emotions will be balanced. Your memories will be settled. Your creativity will be refreshed. Your kindness will be restored. Your sense of yourself will be clear and continuous and quietly yours, all because you did this. This simplest, most ancient, most human thing. You let yourself rest. You trusted the dark. You gave yourself over to the part of you that knows, without being told, how to heal and restore and prepare and renew. And it has been doing that all night, faithfully, without fail, as it has done every night of your life. So rest now. For the hours that remain, there is nothing more to know tonight, nothing more to understand, nothing more to hold, just the breath, rising and falling, just the dark, warm, and kind, just the sleeping brain, doing its quiet, extraordinary, beautiful work, and you, held safely at the center of it all, being taken care of in ways too deep for words. Let the morning come when it comes. For now, there is only this, the night, and the rest, and the deep, unhurried, faithful, loving dark. Sleep now. You have everything you need. You always have. Good night.